So I wanted to record a video to inform you of my TTC fertility history, I guess to put, story, history, whatever. So yeah, I got married in 08. 8808. We actually did not plan it to be that way. It just happened that way. Yeah. We weren't really trying then, but I would have been happy if it happened. A year later, exactly, we had our marriage day. We had the wedding. 8808 was our marriage. We had it in court. That's what we did to get married. We got in court, and then exactly a year later, we did the family wedding, so that family could come and watch. So we renewed our vows on that day, 8809. After the wedding, I found out that I was pregnant, but immediately lost the baby. So it was a chemical pregnancy. And then it was either a month or two that it was a month, yeah. Just right after I had the chemical pregnancy, so that miscarriage, I found out I was pregnant again. And I ended up at that point having to go to the hospital because of my eating disorder. So in order to be able to try to get me to eat and feed myself and the baby, I was put in treatment or in the hospital. So I was there for a month, and after that they had me out. And when I got out, I would have been, I don't know, 8 or 9, I think I was 9 weeks pregnant. 9 or 10, might have been 10. But I got out, and my doctor didn't want to go get an ultrasound or anything because they did not want to establish me with an OBGYN because we were moving in a couple weeks from North Dakota to Texas. So they found that it would be kind of pointless to establish myself with an OB and get an ultrasound and all that, and then all of a sudden have to redo the whole thing when I got to Texas. Yeah, sorry. So we didn't. Before we left for Texas, we went to a concert. It was an awesome concert by Toby Mac. Really awesome. But after, on our way home, we stopped at a gas station to get gas, and I went to the bathroom, and there was some spotting. But, I let it go. I was like, it's just a little bit, and I didn't want to bother my doctor and all that, which was stupid, but I didn't. So then the day comes that we leave, and so all that moving and stuff just kind of enhanced the bleeding, so when we stopped for the night, I was like, I think we should probably go to the emergency room. So we called our insurance, and they suggest we go to the emergency room. And I go, and my first ultrasound is telling me that the baby has died. I would have been 13 weeks at that point. So, I had a miscarriage at 13 weeks. The the sad thing is that hospital, when they found out that I was miscarrying, they did not keep me. They said, if it gets worse, go to an ER. So again, we start driving. And we have 2 vehicles, so I am driving while having contractions. It's painful. It was a very, very rough drive. Yeah. And I don't know if contractions at 13 weeks are just as strong as when you deliver a full-term baby. All I know is that it was very painful. The only thing that I know that isn't as painful is I'm not pushing out a huge baby. So anyway, we get to Oklahoma. So I drive from Iowa to Oklahoma in extreme pain, contractions, and trying to focus on the road. It's hard. So anyway, we get to Oklahoma at my husband's dad's house. Dad and stepmom's house. We're there, and I'm laying in bed. I had already taken my night medications to help me sleep, but I was just in too much pain, and it just wasn't happening, so I was like, we better go to the hospital. So we went to the ER, and they get me in right away, and some of it is just kind of a blur. I almost passed out when they stuck the IV in, because I could still feel, it wasn't a needle, but the plastic thing, I could still feel it in there, and it's like, it hurts. And they're like, there's no needle in there. Like, well, whatever's in there hurts. And from that pain, I was like blacking out, and it was just awful. So I'm just laying there waiting, and then they have me move from the one bed to the other one to examine inside. And as I knew while I was laying down that I felt something big come out. And when I stand up, the baby falls. And yeah, so we see our baby just lying there on the ground. And I mean, it doesn't look like a baby yet. It's probably 12-week development, so it's only like this big. Epic, maybe. You see it there, and it just staying there. Yeah. So that was kind of a horrifying experience, seeing our child just laying there on the floor. Yeah. So anyway, the next morning, we went in about midnight. So, a few hours later, they were going to do a D&C when, the regular staff comes on board. If my bleeding hadn't gotten better, slowed down to show that I had lost everything. But it did, so I did not need a D&C. They just let me go. Yeah, but they never told me what made me miscarry, so I have no idea why, and I will never know, which is just horrible. Yeah. And this happened in December of 2009. So yeah. So we had been trying ever since to get pregnant as soon as we were allowed to. Sometimes we weren't like successfully trying, but we were trying because I wanted a child. Shortly after I had the miscarriage, I got asked if I would like to adopt a baby. My cousin's baby, she found out she was pregnant shortly after I miscarried. A few weeks after I miscarried, she found out she was pregnant. And I got asked, 2 months after I miscarried, if I would like to adopt this baby. My husband and I talked about it. I, of course, right away just wanted to, but I had to ask my husband. He didn't want to at first, but then he decided it was the right decision. So we adopted our baby girl. Well, I got her right after birth, a couple days, 2 days after I met my aunt and we picked up the baby. My husband was deployed at the time, so he didn't get to see her until she was 3 months old. Yeah, so I've had her since she was 2 days old, but we didn't get to adopt her until shortly after she was a year old. The adoption process just took forever, longer than it needed to. It's just the way that it happened. But the adoption is finally complete. We don't have to worry about that, luckily. But yeah, even when we knew we were adopting him, we're still trying to get pregnant before he left. That didn't happen. So basically, 2 years after the miscarriage, I finally got pregnant. 12th of December, I found out I was pregnant. This past December, which was the day we were moving into our house. 2 days later, I found out that my pregnancy wasn't viable. So I have had 3 losses, 2 early on and 1 at 13 weeks. I'd had all the fertility testing since I hadn't gotten pregnant for a month or a year and a half. While my husband was in the military, we got the fertility workup, and from the test that they did, I had nothing wrong with me. So he's like, it'll happen when it happens, and he told me to start taking baby aspirin every day because that helps if I do have a blood clotting issue or whatever. He just says that baby aspirin helps people just all the time. He swears by the baby aspirin is what that OB does. He was an infertility specialist. He takes in all the infertility people. So I guess that's what works for most people that he's seen. So he's like, it will happen soon. I know. And it's like, okay, whatever. It's been a year and a half. So yeah, and I had an appointment back in November to see him, but we had moved at that point, so I didn't get to see him. So then we have moved to Virginia, where nobody knows me. I am not established with any doctors or OBs or whatever. So when I find out I'm pregnant, and I tell them that I'm high-risk pregnancy, and they're still like, doctors don't see you till you're 8 weeks. Whatever. So they set me up an appointment, which I need to cancel today. So after this, I'm going to go find the phone number and cancel my appointment. Yeah. So yeah, that is my story. It took 2 years after my miscarriage to finally get pregnant. That was a long 2 years, I tell you that. And then I go and lose the baby. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that I am pregnant now. I can test the earliest probably Friday. So I'm going to test on Friday just to see. And then again on Monday. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really hoping that it happens. If it happens like last time, I got pregnant right away after the first loss, and it lasted, it took maybe like 12 weeks, and I started miscarrying. But hopefully this one doesn't end. I've got an herb thing that a midwife suggested to me, so I've been taking a little bit of it now. I don't want to take the full dosage because it doesn't last very long. So if I find out I'm pregnant, I'm going to start taking the full dose. It's to help calm the uterus, and so we'll see if it works. So here's to hoping that I am pregnant this month. I will keep you updated. I will be seeing a midwife. I was supposed to see her yesterday, but she ended up out of town. So I'll be seeing her on the 17th. So by then I will know if I'm pregnant. Hopefully, if I am pregnant, I'm still pregnant by then. I hope. Yes. So anyway, I will talk to you all later. See ya.